Hey y'all, and welcome back to Starladder Season 10 America Day 5. We had a little bit of delay getting into this lobby. Steam having some issues today, but that's alright, nothing we can't deal with. Don't worry, Blaze, I was here to save the day. CNB almost had to get a stand-in, but their buddy, I think it was King RD, was the one with the connection issue and was able to make it in just in the nick of time. So we've got CNB versus the Dream Destroyers here for our second match of the day. How you feeling, buddy?
Feeling pretty good. That last match was a little bit one-sided, but we've got four more awesome games of American Dota here today, so I'm sure we're going to get some interesting matchups that go back and forth. Also excited to be casting the Dream Destroyers with their new-ish roster. They're adding two members in replace of B-Kid, and I'm trying to remember the other, but it's not going to mind just a second. Either way, Squee and Chobo are going to be jumping in. I have seen a little bit of their play previously, so excited to see what they bring to the table here for Dream Destroyers.
All right, Squee and Shobo, not two players I'm familiar with. What, were they playing on other teams previously, or can you give us a little background?
Yeah, it's still a semi-pro background, but they've seen them in matchmaking quite a few times. Actually got to hang out with Squee in particular at TI4. It was actually just kind of a casual lunch, and then I got talking to him for like an hour about different things like the metagame and the tempo of the game. Really liked his thoughts on it, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, and I'm 6K," and I'm like, "Oh okay, that makes sense." So.
Well, I know Chobo means the opposite of Gosu, so hopefully it's a sarcastic name because there's no room for any Chobo players on these teams here, Blaze. But we'll get into this draft. CNB will be able to first pick the Death Prophet, Brewmaster, and Razor banned out by DD, and the Lycan Viper taken out of the pool by CNB. That does open up for a pretty scary picking duo here. For Dream Destroyers, they'll get Faceless Void and the Skywrath Mage. An obvious synergy between those heroes, one we've seen many a time, and, well, they'll be able to scoop them up with their first two picks.
Remaining.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting how they actually change up the roles here because apparently Chobo plays carrier mid and Squee is rotating into the supportive role. But although B-Kid did play support, the other one that they've replaced, WWD, did play offlane. So it looks like everybody's going to be playing something that's a little bit different than what they're used to. And we'll see what they can really come up with there. It's still a very young roster between these players in general.
Justin used to play mid, right?
Yeah, he used to play mid and then he transitioned to carry. So I guess they're in a flux there as well.
Interesting. Yeah, well, we'll see when they get into the game. Maybe they'll switch it up even more so. Why not? But Shadow Shaman will be grabbed by CNB, a pretty similar opener to what we saw in the last match in terms of pushing power. No big surprise there, right in line with our current meta. And, you know, it's sort of interesting. We were talking the other day, by we, I mean myself and K-Pop Tosis, about the current state of the draft and if first pick or second pick is more advantageous, both statistically and kind of anecdotally. And second pick gives you a weird niche where it's the only time that you can pick up two heroes back-to-back without your opponents having any opportunity to ban or pick and break up that duo. So just interesting here to see it in action as it comes to mind with Faceless Void and Skywrath. And I think on paper, first pick is statistically a little bit better across like the past 5 patches. It's up by like a 2 to 4% across all the games in competitive. But there is still something to be said for the value in having that second pick so you can grab duos such as this.
Oh, definitely. And the advantage still is kind of resounding as far as what I understand for the first pick because of the aspect of not only do you get the first hero, whatever one you want off the table, but also you get the last pick, so you can't be countered in that. But I still think that second pick has its merits to the point that if teams get a little bit better about drafting in certain intervals and taking advantage of that adjacency of your picks where you can just get 2 consecutive ones off, that's pretty huge. In fact, not only the first and second pick being paired up, but also this phase that we're about to enter right here, where Dream Destroyers gets their second ban in the second phase and then immediately into a pick. I'd like to call that drafting on the flop as a poker term, and it is a really critical time where you can negate the strategy of your opponent and really go into something else of your own. So I think it's actually just as advantageous as the 2 pairing earlier on.
Well, then how do you explain the numbers, Mr. Blaze?
Still first and last. It's pretty resounding. But I honestly, like I said, I think it's more that the players aren't really taking advantage of it enough. They're just looking at it like, oh, this is a point in time where I want to pick this. But if you can pick something while developing a counter for it at the same time and banning out that counter, That's just a pristine way to play it. So I think third pick is a really good time to surprise your opponent as well.
No, you're certainly right about that, as being a little facetious there. And there are some teams that do actually favor second pick. In the face of statistics, they capitalize on some of the advantages that we're talking about here. So Dream Destroyers will pick up the Wraith King with their third pick here after banning out Nature's Prophet and the Doombringer. So perhaps the beginnings of a killer tri-lane if they were so interested. I always think of Mirana, that great hero to be paired with the Wraith King, and could be an option here. But a lot of flexibility. I think it more stands to reason they'll build a lane around this Faceless Void in the safe lane. Sitting on the Dire side does make his life a little bit easier. And there are still plenty of offlaners they could pick up that would work well here. Something like a Tide is still in the pool and not out of the realm of possibilities.
Skywrath and Wraith was the kind of combo that we saw a lot from Bloody Nine and B-Kid, so I guess we'll see that similar vein of thought coming in with Squeeze the support, but it still doesn't really show much for their solo mid and their hand in that regard. A lot of mids have already been banned out, the Viper, the Razor, the Brew, and it's not easy to find heroes that can always hold their own against the Death Prophet. I mean, maybe you could go for something different, like a Templar Assassin or something, but it's just like then you're picking up a lot of heroes that are reliant on not getting disabled. And with Shadow Shaman and Tide Hunter having so many great stuns, it's more and more difficult to feel reliable in that sense. So maybe they just want a team fight controller, maybe a Puck or something that'll just throw a wrench in the works for what CNB have in mind.
Yeah, I think you're certainly right about that. It's a smart pick for the Tide, Denial, and just a good hero for them as well. Sort of a similar draft to what we saw on the Dire side in the last game. Shadow Shaman, Tide Hunter, and Death Prophet. The beginnings of the same team, and, well, I don't know. I guess there's some people out there that are already snoozing away at this very predictable draft. Maybe that's the right word here. Dream Destroyers will counter up here with a smart pick of their own. Nice support to synergize with some of the disables they have already. Synergize as well with the Void, and also stop CNB from getting another very potent pushing support.
Yeah, and still, CNB does not know the lanes of Dream Destroyers. The Skywrath, the Jakiro, the Wraith, the Void, they're all flexible. They at least have one alternative role, and with that, they can just go for a full shuffle. They can go rotate the Void into the offlane, the Wraith King into the core, and the Jakiro into support instead of a mid. They can do all these different things, and that makes it very difficult for CNB to know comfortably what lanes they're going up against. Still, if they just pick up any good active early game support, then they're going to be able to make a real impact on the towers. But for now, they're going to go for a hero that can really help in some senses and has a lot of issues in others. Personally, I prefer the Witch Doctor here, but they're going to go with the Dazzle for their kind of sustained push hero.
Yeah, an interesting choice. I'm also very... I'm torn now. I've been cheating on my Dazzle with Witch Doctor recently. Still a Dazzle enthusiast, but he's just not in favor right now. And I think the biggest issue is he just needs a lot of experience to really be effective. He's not one of these supports that can work the jungle too well, not quite as well as a Jakiro or some of these others. Of course, he can utilize the pull camp pretty well, but if he gets experience, he can be really aggressive with the poison touch, but it seems almost always, unless he's in if it's like an Artor solo mid Dazzle, that's a different story. But in the position 4, position 5, you have to go for the more defensive build, and it just takes so long for him to get rolling. But a lot of aggressive potential, and he really thrives in those long team fights, the ones that you can just keep spamming that Shadow Wave and sustain your team. Minus armor does pair very well with the Death Prophet. That is one big piece of synergy between those two heroes. Weave and Exorcism are like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together, and it's so yummy when it goes down your gullet. But we'll see how it works out. Dream Destroyers, all right, Blaze. We're going to see a sniper, Mr. Dwarf, coming into the fray, and this is always exciting.
Yeah, already something coming out that's a little bit different here. They have tools to defend against like the long range, a couple of auto attacks and retreat, then they assassinate. They still can shallow grave that and things of that nature, but it's going to be annoying to try to siege against a sniper when he can always just sit back, max out his take aim, and kill off all the Mass Serpent wards before they can really make an impact on the tower. So I think that's his main point here, is just to really eliminate at least the Shadow Shaman's contribution early. One headshot eliminates the shackles. A couple of autos will eliminate the Mass Serpent wards, and if he positions himself carefully, he's going to be out of range of all of these heroes. Like Tide Hunter, of course, can blink on the sniper, and that's fine. But other than that, like they're gonna have trouble getting right on top of him until the Rasa picks up Blink of his own. So I think if he just stays behind his tower, kind of halfway between tier 1 and a tier 2, he can keep those tier 1 towers up for a very long time, and eventually they'll be able to make their way towards BKBs, which they need to have against both Tide and Silencer.
Yeah, and we'll have a DC here as we load into the game, but the Silencer pickup. Very good against Faceless Void. If you can catch him before he initiates with the Chronosphere, you can lock him down. And, of course, if you catch him in the Silence, then no Chrono for you. But it's not really the best counter, in my humble opinion. I've seen this drafted a few times in competitive, and it can work, but the big issue is Chronosphere is a shorter cooldown than Global, especially if he goes for the Ag Scepter by a margin of 50%. So that's a big difference right there, and you have to get a lot done when that Void is dead. And also, on top of that, you can kill him without the Chrono, but then he respawns, and unless you've already taken down the tower or broken high ground or achieved whatever objective it is that you were going for, Void is right there with the Chrono ready to go, and you're never going to have that Global Silence up ready to rock and roll to stop the Chrono coming out that second time. So it's a good tool, but I don't know that it is the end-all be-all of shutting down the Faceless Void. Similar plight that the Ravage has in terms of that really long cooldown. Sure, you can catch people off guard, but, you know, they're DD are just so much less cooldown reliant than CNB looking at these drafts.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that the Chronosphere is better, or sorry, the Global Silence is actually better used after the Chronosphere. You let the Chronosphere come through and you just make sure that the Jakiro and the Skywrath Mage can't follow up on it with their Macro Pyre, their Mystic Flare, their ground target spells, and I think that'll be really where the game shifts. But all the same, yeah, he does have his weaknesses for sure. They need to force their advantage prior to the BKB era, because when we get to 25, 35 minutes in that general range, we're going to see the Black King bars just nullify half of what CNB bring. And so they have to really force the issue now. Can't misstep. They need First Blood. They need the first tier 1 tower of the game. They really don't have much room for error, or they're going to run out of time.
Yeah, DD undoubtedly here have the carry advantage, I think. That's for damn sure, with a Faceless Void Sniper and even the Wraith King. Even if the Wraith King is in a position 4, we've seen plenty of time when he will start to turn into a bit of a tertiary carry if the game goes on long enough. It will be Bloody 9 in the off lane here on the dire side of the map with the Faceless Void. In the mid, it will be the Sniper, played by Mr. Chobo. And up top, I'm actually curious who will be the position 1 here. I guess it'll be the Jakiro. We see a smoke onto the Wraith King, Jakiro with the Ring of Protection and the Tangos with a bunch of GG branches. So it looks like Justin, yeah, the carry player, will be on the position 1. So a farming Jakiro here once again, Blaze.
Yeah, that is always an interesting one to see. It's going to allow them to pick up the Mechanism early. This is the only hero that will pick up Mechanism, and they certainly need it this game. So maybe Mech into Pipe builds up for him. We'll see. Early on, though, I would like to see the Basilius just to counteract the physical damage that we'll be seeing from things like Anchor Smash and the Dazzle. And inevitably, they'll be in a better position to kind of hold their own on this top lane. For now, Squee with the Haste Rune is going to be putting some damage into 4DR, but there's no real kill potential here, just zoning out for about 30 seconds time.
Yep, can get the Sniper off to a decent start. He was pulled Tangos with the Wraith Band, a double GG branch opener, so pretty much the highest starting attack damage a little Sniper can go for here. Good way to get things started, and with 50 auto attack damage, DP 61, of course there is a disparity there, but could be a lot worse for Mr. Chobo. Ooh, up top already. Aggression coming out onto the side of DD as Fanny gets repelled from the Tide Hunter. Looking at the lanes for the Radiant side, they do have a 2-1-2 out of the gate. King RD is in the bottom lane on what appears to be a farming position 1 Silencer. Baga will be supporting him here on the Shadow Shaman. We already talked about 40R's DP in the mid lane. And up top, the support Dazzle will be joining the Tide Hunter for now. We'll see if he ends up roaming around, but interesting that they're pairing a support with old Nettie up here, Mr. Flanders.
Yeah, I'm actually curious when 1-2-3 is going to be rotating to start actually going for Ancient Stacks to help out the Tide. It's probably the best use of his time for the most part, but for now he's going to look to try to actually go for a pull, but it's already blocked off by that Observer Ward. That's not going to happen. Down bottom, we are seeing Bloody 9 taking a lot of harassment here. He actually started out with an astounding amount of regen. He was pulled 3 Tangos, bought 2 stacks himself, so that's a total of 11, and he had a salve on top of his stout shield. So he can tank a lot, he can sustain a lot, but I think that's almost just a kind of a handicap pickup based on the fact that he's not an experienced offlaner. Bloody 9 has already taken a huge amount of damage from Baga, just from a couple of clarities and a lot of right clicks, and even though he was pulled more regen than you should ever need, he's already chewed through a third of it.
Yeah, and he hasn't really found much out of it either. He's only halfway through level 1 and pretty much struggling in the offlane to get anything accomplished. Tidehunter is at least well on his way to level 3, has those 2 value points in the Kraken Shell and the Anchor Smash, so he is in good shape for now. Bloody Nine will actually run down a salve as well. So he is still working the regeneration, but this Shadow Shaman doing a good job keeping him zoned out and not allowing him to farm really whatsoever. In the mid lane, Sniper and DP are a pretty even exchange right now. DP's up by just a couple of CS, though that difference will get shoved into this tower, and Chobo may be able to secure a few last hits, so not a big deal right there. DD do smoke and rotate towards the mid lane with their 2 supports. They won't find the kill as the Death Prophet rotates into the jungle to start stacking, and instead they will rotate up top, and they will catch this Dazzle off guard. He does have the Grave skilled up already, but they've got plenty of silence and stuns, and they should be able to bring him down here if they can catch the stun before the Grave. And there's your first blood. Squee will draw it on the Shadow, or pardon me, off the Shadow Priest. Yes, he's a Shadow Priest on the Skywrath Mage, but they make it a 1-for-1. Ned comes in, hits him with an anchor, and that will make it the 1-for-1. DD still, of course, getting the advantage as they draw the first blood.
Yeah, so obviously they got what they came for there. Getting the first blood on the Skywrath Mage in particular is going to enable him to roam about a lot more with the boots of speed on a hero that's already very quick on his feet. But yeah, I'm just not sure exactly what the Dazzle is going to be able to accomplish in this lane. The Tide's already a comfortable offlaner in general. It seems like the Dazzle is just not happy with 50% experience. Actually down bottom, Void getting killed off just by the Curse and Last Word damage alone, since they did get in range for Shackles. Bloody Nine just really overstepping, but in mid.
40R, yeah, the supports will rotate over, and boy, is it a bloodbath out of the gate in the first few minutes of gameplay as both sides turn up the aggression. DD get, I think, the more valuable kill here on that Death Prophet in the mid lane, who was farming decently well. Void taking a tumble, unfortunate for him, but he's still not really getting much anyhow, so his losses are kind of mitigated, just feeding that silencer a little bit more, and we'll see what item build King RD goes for. He does have the Midas recipe coming out, so there you go, that answers that question. He'll be off to a very fast Midas, though, somewhere right around that 5-minute mark, as he's only 300 gold away.
Yeah, with this effective of zoning from the Shadow Shaman, you might as well. It's great for his general scaling because he really relies on attack speed to get those glaives out, but also, of course, he just isn't happy to settle for one item. He wants to go not just Aghanim Scepter, but Hex as well, and maybe a 4-staff or an Atos on top of that. So he's got a large shopping list ahead of him, and he's got to start somewhere, so the Midas is a great way to build himself up. Even still, with the rotation away, the Shadow Shaman's not here. Bloody Nine actually going to get some good full experience, and even maybe able to bait a play where Fanny and Squee can kind of catch the opponent off guard.
Yeah, they will rotate through out of ward vision. Radiant do have an observer here on the side of the jungle, so if they do try to sneak on the side of the tree line, it won't be particularly easy, but here we go. Initiation on the King RD. Concussive to get things started. Does pop the global silence, but he is so low on items right now. A lot of farm, but just nothing to show for it. Not even boots picked up. He will fall. Skywrath Mage picks up the last hit once again. Bloody Nine taking a few tower shots, but he will survive, and it's a successful gank for DD. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Ned getting pushed back by Justin. Ice Path is available and will be off the mark. Probably would have been a kill there if he had connected. Even throws the dual breath, and Ned will survive with about 50 hit points to spare, though a very close call.
Yeah. So we're going to just see a bit of free farm up top for Justin for about 30 seconds here. In the meantime, Chobo is pushing in mid very effectively. You look at the CS count, and that kill really set the Death Prophet back. 40R is only on 20 and 2 for his CS, whereas the Sniper is actually sitting 33 and 13. Absolutely insane from him. He's put some decent damage. Okay, not much damage in the tower with his shrapnel, but that's because he's been kind of focusing his build elsewhere. Going 2 points in headshot is a really valuable point as far as damage output goes, and he really is going to be able to catch off the Death Prophet off guard if she just underestimates that Sniper even slightly.
Down bottom, Baga gets pinged out as they rotate into the jungle and look for some kill potential. He is hiding in the trees, but they'll find him, and oh, Baga, that should be a pretty easy kill here. Curse of the Silent comes out and will just tickle the forces of DD. They finish off the Shadow Shaman, and now King RD, maybe not out of the clear yet either. Dazzle rotates his way down, but Fanny dives the tower, has a stun, and the Wraith King should be able to chop him down. It is Squee who grabs the last hit. Fanny takes a blast from the Dazzle, pops his wand, drops the tower aggro, and will survive in the double digits of hit points, and that will make it 5-2 now as the Dream Destroyer is living up to their name and taking a gold lead and leveling out the experience edge that CNB once had.
Yeah, and we're just right now in the early game not really feeling the impact of this Dazzle whatsoever. He didn't really feel like he fed in up top, but when he finally rotates down bottom, all he's able to do is throw out one little heal, Dream Destroyers are very efficient in zoning him out, making sure he can't make the impact he wants to, and with no real options there, it's just going to be him gradually building up experience and hoping that with some grouping that they can actually just go for some push with his heals. For now, Ned is going to get aggressive up on Justin up on the top lane. He has the support of Baga with the Smoke of Deceit, but it's going to be a very difficult kill since they don't have the Gush. They would have to commit the Ravage and use all of Shadow Shaman's mana to get this kill.
Yeah, looks like they may go for it, though. Baga comes in, reveals the smoke, connects with the other shock, shackles fly, and Anchor Smash will come through. There's the Ravage to secure it, but Justin, with a few hit points still to spare, the Hex, he does have an Ice Path available here, and oh my gosh, he will survive this. Only 40 hit points to spare, but he lives. So much committed from CNB there, and while we were looking at that, they did lose their Death Prophet once more. Sniper picked up a kill as the Skywrath Mage rotated over. So victories across the mid and top lane for DD as it's now 6-2, only 8 minutes in.
Yeah, the Death Prophet is trying to go out for a rune that was not covered by our allies, so it's an easy convergence of their heroes there, but it just goes to show how great Jakiro is as a hero when it comes down to stat gains. He starts out with high base strength and then gains 2.3 per level. At level 7 here, he's sitting at 1,000 HP, and that's a lot of effective health even before the mechanism. So tanks up through all that damage, even the Ravage, all the mana from Baga, and now they're looking for a return kill. Doesn't? Oh, no, they just throw out the Wraithfire Blast. That'll clean it up, and from here they can take the easy tower kill. Buckler, Basilius, that's 4 armor for your creeps, and with Liquid Fire, the tower is just going to be hitting very infrequently.
Yeah, 4 points at that Liquid Fire, like you mentioned, and has that point in Macro Pyre nice and early on. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we'll see the first Chrono come out onto Silencer. Skywrath is there with the Mystic Flare, and Silencer will fall. He even pops the... Oh, boy.
Yeah,
he used the global right as he died.
Selfish.
That's a completely wasted cooldown. That's really unfortunate.
Just unfortunate panic because they have no major cooldowns to fight away. Even with Ned coming up with the Anchor Smash here, the tower is just so hard to defend. The Vampiric Aura on the creep wave, they keep on pushing in, and although it's going to take Fanny to tank it up just a little bit here, they're still putting major damage into it. They'll put it just outside deny range, or actually with that Liquid Fire, they're going to put it into deny range, and they're forcing it here.
No glyph used either. The Siege Creep will finish it off. Old Cardi. And that'll be the first tower kill of the game. Now Ned taking a lot of damage. Even the Macro Pyre committed. There's potential for a kill here. He'll move into the trees. Fanny presses forward. The Wraithfire Blast just now cooling down. Ned with some fancy footwork. They just need some vision. They'll find it with the creeps. Wraithfire Blast enough to bring him down. Now Baga not out of the clear yet. Ice Path is off the mark. Fanny will fall as Dazzle rotates his way over, and Jakiro will head for the hills. CNB make it a 1-for-1 trade, but they lose their Tide in exchange for just to support Wraith King, and they pull 3 hero rotations on top of the Tide and still lose the tower. So even though they find that recovery kill, still a huge win for the Dire side. Now Bloody Nine goes in onto King RD, but takes the last word, and he will be forced back.
Good defensive play there. Chobo's going to be able to pick up the Illusion Rune here. It does have the bottle, so he's able to really put some damage into this mid tower.
Yep. Sorry to interrupt you there, Blaze. But old Jackie, he's dropping the fire, dropping the liquid. That sounds terrible, but yep, he makes it happen. Old Chobo, man, he's been quiet, but mid lane, he is the last hit leader by far, just about to break 70 CS in 11 minutes. And he is really online. Aquila power treads and has a full Yasha complete, just needs to wait for that turn with the courier. But he is starting to get big, and now just harassing down this tower. Shrapnel chipping away at it, and he'll be able to keep harassing. Silencer gets picked off in the bottom lane. I thought Jakiro was going to initiate up top. My apologies, did miss that kill on the Silencer, but it looks like just another Chronosphere Mystic Flare duo, and yet another easy kill for the Dire side.
Yeah, and the Dazzle just needs to constantly be there for that to try to respond, but right now he's camping mid. They want to try to force the issue there, and they don't really have any kill potential against Cho. He's too damn quick. Like, you can stay relatively close to him, but you can't stop him from escaping under his tower. They have no points in Gush, no points in the Shadow Poison Touch. They have to Ravage to lock him down.
Yep, Exorcism used as well. There's the Weave, and they just barely bring him down. They commit a lot to this, and now Baga comes in. They go on to Fanny. That will proc the Reincarnation. Justin with a nice Ice Path Macro Pyre duo. Fanny comes back up, and Baga, taking a lot of damage, will get the Shallow Grave. This is a full 5-hero rotation from CNB, and they've only picked up a singleton kill so far. Skywrath Mage finds a kill onto the Shadow Shaman as the Bolt chases him down. 4DR looking to pursue. just barely jukes the Ice Path as Squee presses forward, Mystic Flare, and there's Bloody Nine coming in. Another Grave from the Dazzle. He'll get healed up from the Exorcism, but only a little bit of healing. And as soon as that Grave expires, he will tick down to the Liquid Fire. Finds a kill onto the Skywrath off to the side. Finally, CNB finding an okay team fight, but still not ideal. They don't get any objectives following it, and it's still a pretty even trade.
The range creep actually killed off the Skywrath Mage with one last auto attack. He was down to 1 HP, and the range creep was enough for it. But look at the stack that they just found. That's actually really huge if they can farm it up efficiently enough. The Liquid Fire helps do some continuous damage. But yeah, they really want this stack. It's dangerous because there is a lot of turnaround potential for CNB, even without their ultimates. But they're going for it, and it looks like they will be able to claim it. That is absolutely immense. Taking that gold off the table for CNB. The Death Prophet, the Shadow Shaman, whoever, is not going to be AoEing this down with their spells, and that's going to be a lot of gold going the way of Dream to Stars instead.
Yeah, and that's almost a bigger victory than it looks like there. On paper, you think, okay, 4 hard camps split between the team, but you have to consider the opportunity cost of CNB not getting that farm that they were planning on, so it's sort of a swing that way. And also, all that time that Death Prophet spent not in the mid lane, stacking that up to find some recovery later, that now was just completely wasted time to give Chobo a lot more room in lane. Now he'll get initiated upon, but Bloody Nine is right there. Chrono out on 2. Unfortunately, Chobo is caught in it, and Bloody Nine will go, oh, sorry about that, buddy. Hopefully you can juke in the trees and TP home. He'll do just that, but the weave from Dazzle gives them the vision they need, and Shackles will interrupt it, and they make it a kill. So CNB do get a recovery after losing that stack, and it is on the Sniper, so certainly a high-value target, but they'll need a little bit more than that to really regain serious momentum. Still a 5,000 gold and experience deficit in favor of the Dream Destroyers.
They'll make a tier 1 for tier 1 trade with the Exorcism in the mid, created a Liquid Fire down bottom, and that Sniper pickoff is pretty nice because it delays the BKB progression for him. He's going to have a harder time committing to the fights in full, and obviously they did get their first tower of the game out of that kill. So very nice. Still, the Mask of Menace will come up for the Faceless Void. A lot of solo kill potential for him, but so far Bloody Nine's Chronospheres just haven't really been on point. I mean, the kill on the Silencer was great with the Skywrath Mage, but that's a pretty easy one compared to the one where he was trying to help the Sniper out just now and unfortunately catches him in it. So I'm not sure if he's quick casting it or if he's just not placing it as carefully as he could, but hopefully he'll step it up for the next future ultis.
Yeah, CNB do find 2 towers off that push. They save the Rost Awards with the tier 2. Very nicely done there. And it will be a 2-for-1 tower exchange. Sniper will get to clear up the wards here as down bottom. King RD does pop the ultimate, looking like Squee and Justin will commit onto him. Ice Path just barely falls short of the Silencer, and he will survive. So CNB finally find a little momentum there, and that puts a big dent in the gold graph. Tied, well on his way to a mech, actually just a creep kill or 2 off the recipe, and that is good news for him, of course, slowing down the blink dagger timing, but still giving CNB a lot more team fight prowess as the Silencer gets 1 step closer to that Aghanim Scepter. Point booster up on him. Casual Belt of Strength for now. It's sort of interesting. Did go back for the Tranquil Boots. Almost always, I think, you see power treads on the Silencer, but I guess Tranquils do help you in lane for just a little sustainability and that extra armor.
Yeah, pretty interesting there. If he's actually going to be able to use that for like a Necronomicon, or if it was just a casual pickup there. No matter the case, he'll get the Midas gold flowing. He'll actually get a nice little bit of Crystal Silent damage onto the Wraith King as well, turning to Intelligence Treads to try to minimize how much mana he loses out of that curse, but still dropping it where he's in range of only having 1 spell. He can either reincarnate or Wraithfire Blast for the next fight, and has to keep that in mind if CNB do get aggressive on this Roche attempt.
Yeah, or DD rather, yeah, moving into the Roche pit. CNB are grouped up down bottom, and I guess they're moving towards the pit, but it's slow and steady. They don't have any vision confirming what's going on. This is Radiant Vision right now, and they don't have any wards down on the map. They are pretty blind, and Roche looks like he will fall uncontested. No minus armor, so it's a pretty slow Roche, but DD will roll the dice, and this time it pays off. Bloody Nine has already picked up his Mask of Madness. He'll be the one. Oh, no, pardon me. It is Chobo that picks up the Aegis. He's gone Santinyasha now for a little bit of extra HP, and now they will go down to try and defend this bottom tier 1 tower. Glyph is available. They will pop it, perhaps hoping for a deny as Rost Wars will continue to lay into it here. And Bloody Nine flies over. Ned does connect with the Ravage. Hits on 3. Bloody Nine gets hexed, silenced, shackled, and he will fall. No Aegis on him, so it will be a tower kill. No deny comes out, and they get the kill on the Faceless Void. Now, Justin, taking a lot of damage from the Exorcism, will bait out 4DR. He gets hit by the Skywrath rotation and will fall to an Ice Path Macro Pyre and that makes it a 1-for-1 trade, but still CNB find the better of it as they get that tier 1 tower. Though I suppose you have to factor in Roche. They could have defended the tower if they weren't in the Roche pit. So all things considered, sort of a break even. DD have the Aegis still standing, so maybe small edge in their favor.
Yeah, but just more kills for the sniper. The Aegis second life. It's going to be very difficult to kill off Chobo a second time. He didn't actually go for the BKB like I thought he would. Yasha BKB is pretty common in these types of situations, but he knows that the Tide was forced into a mech instead of a blink, and maybe he just feels like his positioning will be effective enough that he won't have to worry about getting locked down by the Shadow Shaman or the Tide. So at long range here, he's just right-clicking away very quickly. Lots of movement speed underneath him, even without the phase boots. Nice kill there, and he can always reposition himself if he does feel threatened.
For DD, looking at high ground here, they'll take a tier 2 tower uncontested, and they seem to be pressing forward. I mean, they have Reincarnation, they have all their big cooldowns up, so why the hell not? They know Ravage is on CD for another 60 seconds or so, and they'll go for it. Glyph is used straight away, and CNB seem a little bit caught off guard. They weren't really in a position to contest. The Silencer is in the top lane. Tide is farming Ancients, and it is a 5v4 down here in the bottom as the Faceless Void is just now joining the party. Glyph is expired, and Liquid Fire doing a fair bit to this tower. They will get it below half. Jakiro will get that uphill miss, unfortunately for him, but they'll continue to commit to this. And
yeah. Well, that's the thing, is it's not even really commitment, because they don't have to go on top of the steps if they don't want to. They have an incredible slow siege lineup where they can just shrapnel the tower down. Also, they can shrapnel the range racks if they really want to just dig in the trench, because it doesn't regenerate HP. So they can just have this really slow siege strat that has absolutely no risk to it, as long as the Tide does not have Blink. And still, that's going to be about 600 gold away, and the tier 3 is already gone. Now shrapnel on 2 buildings instead of 1.
Yep, up top, King RD does get a tier 1 tower, but usually not so great to trade a tier 1 for a tier 3. He will be very close to his Ag Scepter and actually picks it up right now following that tower kill, so maybe more worth it than usual. If they can find the initiation they're looking for, this could be deadly for DD. Ravage is coming up in just 1 second here, and Tide walking his way in, taking a couple attacks from the Sniper. He's the one in the front lines. They know he has the Aegis. He'll save the Ravage for now, but now gets caught in Macro Pyre, Liquid Fire, or pardon me, Macro Pyre. Jesus, Ice Path, Macro Pyre, but DD taking a lot of damage. They will be back for now. Exorcism with a little duration left. They'll catch the Death Prophet and she'll fall. Now a 5v4, Global Silence, looking like it will fly, but it's just too little too late. Vaga will be okay for now. Ned connects with the Ravage on 3. Rasta wards come down as he barely survives, but still no kills onto DD, all very low hit points. And Chobo looking to finish off King RD. Will perhaps find the kill here. Skyrath, or gosh, the Wraith King will get picked off, falls, comes back with the Reincarnation, and the slow does set up for some kill potential here. A nice set of Graves from the Dazzle. Is it enough? It just doesn't look like it. CNB don't have the sustain. They won't be able to win the fight. Chobo still with the Aegis standing. Will clear out the Rasta wards, and now this bottom lane of racks exposed, taking heavy damage. Will be at least a melee set of racks, it looks like here, as Baga and Ned come in, but no ultimates available. Only so much they can do. Now Chobo takes the anchor to the face. A lot of damage coming his way, but he'll do a fair bit of right-clicking before that Aegis gets proc. Unfortunately, now he's in an awkward position on the high ground, and they might be able to take him down a second time. Crypt Swarm to the face. No, they don't go for it. Wraithfire Blast out onto the Death Prophet. They really want to finish off this melee racks. Liquid Fire Shrapnel once more. Almost enough as Bloody 9 comes back in. Ice Path forward, connects on 3. Another Grave out onto Baga. This Dazzle doing a lot of work in this fight, and now DD will finally be repelled. Curse of the Silence flies through, does a lot of damage to finish off the Faceless Void. Justin takes a Crypt Swarm, a stray auto attack from 4DR will finish him off, and DD in full retreat mode. Fanny moves into the tree line, no TP on him, but buys his Blink Dagger and spends all of that unreliable gold. He'll be okay, even if he takes a tumble. Interesting that they aren't really going for him here. Mystic Flare, oh, the Dazzle. Just barely getting off that shallow grave in the nick of time. But proving successful here as Squee goes in. They want to finish off the Dazzle. The Wraithfire Blast will be enough to do it. And they find a little bit of vengeance there, but it'll be a 2-for-1 trade. I don't know if that was really cost-effective at the end there for DD. I guess the Wraith King was committed anyhow, so at least they found something out of it. Wow.
Yeah, but the important thing is the racks are still alive. The melee racks is looking really low. It's in shambles right now, but over the next couple minutes, it will regenerate back up to full, and the DD kind of need to follow up that push with something more, because right now, if they just go back to farm, essentially all you got is the tier 3, and you did give them a lot of experience back in the comeback. As far as buybacks go, the Dazzle was the only one that committed to his, so in the end, a lot of experience going back the way of CNB. They hold the high ground, and that's where things get harder and harder for Dream Destroyers. They still have late game, that's for sure, but right now with the fact that they're not building up BKBs on at least the sniper. The Faceless Void will make his way there slowly, but it just makes it so that with these blinks, the blink hacks, the blink ravage, it's extremely effective initiation, and there's a lot of possibility where they can just be taken out of the fight without contributing anything. So up top, we see a little bit back and forth. Chobo with the movement speed, but is it enough?
Yeah, Justin will finish off the Shadow Shaman, and Chobo will fall as 40R chases him down. Justin could be in some trouble here as well as the Exorcism is laying into him. Ice Path flies through, will connect. He gets mech'd up, and a buyback from the Sniper. He wants vengeance here, but maybe a bit of a rage buyback, if I dare say so, as it doesn't seem like they'll be able to grab much in the way of counter kills. Dazzle off to the side, almost gets scouted out by Fanny, but he will make it back to safety, and that'll be the end of it. Just a one-for-one trade, and they force a buyback out of the Sniper that proves pretty useless. That puts a big dent into his net worth now.
Oh, and they're even going to pick off the Wraith King here. He gets hit up by the Yules, and that's going to be enough to pin him down. No reincarnate for him, so, and no way to obviously bail him out. So very nice series of pickoffs here. The Sniper completely unwarranted in his buyback. You only want to use a buyback that way when the enemy is committed to a large-scale fight, but that was not even remotely the case. The kind of race car Death Prophet was kind of in auto attack range, but there certainly wasn't a way that they could guarantee any kills on her. So mistake in buying back and setting back his item progression even further. It's Sanjin Yasha Maelstrom. It's really good offensively, but if they start focusing him harder and harder, he is going to have a hard time surviving through the fight.
Yeah,
it's going to be all about the Chronosphere, I think.
Yeah, you're certainly right about that. And ooh, King RD could be in some trouble as Void is looking for him, but won't jump. He does have a refresher recipe picked up, but I believe that's the only progression he's made towards it. Yeah, nothing on the courier, so still a ways off, but kind of interesting. It's not so often you'll see anyone really grab the recipe first for the refresher orb, as the other two items, both the Perseverance as well as the Oblivion Staff, give you a fair amount, certainly more than the recipe, which of course isn't saying a hell of a lot, but interesting choices from the Silencers. Bloody Nine is looking like he wants to be aggressive here.
Yeah, we're going to see probably, yeah, the Chronosphere should be easy with Mystic Flare. This is a guaranteed kill.
Yep, Mask of Madness popped as well. Or is it a guaranteed kill, Mr. Blaze? This Dazzle, man, he has been on point with these Graves. He seems to always be in the right position, and putting so many points into the Grave this early on, you're really not used to it having a 15-second cooldown with a Dazzle only at level 9, but it has proved so effective, especially in that last really long team fight. It just felt like grave after grave after grave, and if he wasn't there for that sustainability, it would have been a completely different skirmish. So we'll see. I think DD may need to start focusing down this Dazzle in these team fights if they really want to.
I definitely agree. Shallow Grave Imba right here. Yeah, usually you think of it like an ability that is about at the time and range of like a defensive disruption, because it's usually so low in ranks. You put 1 or 2 points in it early on, it's got a long cooldown, it just doesn't get the quick reaction that you need for a hero that's relatively slow himself. So we do see right now Justin getting some damage into Ned here. He's going to pop the Ravage, and they're going to be delivering some damage in return. The Global Sounds will come out, burning through the mana and HP bars of DD, and yeah, it looks like Fanny will at least be popping his Reincarnate here.
Yep, their Ravage has already been used, but there is an Exorcism available. DP holding it for now. Fanny really doesn't want to fall. Positive and negative Earn both deployed, and that will keep him alive for now. There's your Exorcism as they come back in. Bloody Nine in the front lines, taking a fair bit of damage, but laying into old Nettie. And in comes the Jakiro, almost brings down the tide, but Dazzle's right there with the Grave, and throws out a heal as well. Create some space for the bottom lane, and CNB will find a tower out of it. Looks like Baga put some wards down, and they will commit. Bloody Nine does hop out. Chrono at the ready. Might be able to catch King RD here. Does pop his Mask of Madness, but nope, has no clue where he is. And he will TP before they find him in the tree line.
Yeah, it's interesting because if he had actually just gone for Last Word, Curse of the Silent, that would have been essentially a 1-for-1, but he values his life very heavily here. Like he said, he's very ambitious with his item progression. He wants that Refresher Orb. He knows they don't have any BKBs, and he wants to exploit that fact. So he is building that up as quickly as he can, and with Ag's Refresher, like, he can essentially play Zeus. He can take out more than half their HP just with his ultimates alone, and of course, obviously provide a ton of utility with the Silence as well.
40R lives through the assault up in the top lane. Meanwhile, in the mid, now King DR in some trouble, and he won't be so lucky. Does pick up the Oblivion Staff, and still has that Refresher recipe, so pretty close to completing the item. Does minimize some of his reliable or unreliable gold loss, pardon me. But turning into a pretty even game now. It's a pretty small lead for the Dream Destroyers, about 2,500 gold and XP. Now they move into the Roche Pit, and there should be another uncontested Roshan, I believe, with the Silencer dead. A good time to move into the pit, and I guess they'll have an Aegis once more here, just shy of the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, and they certainly need it. To seal the deal here, they just can't rely on their team composition alone, because we're seeing those blinks and how effective they are in the team fights. We're also going to see Ned progress towards the Pipe of Insight quite quickly, so may be able to avoid some of the damage coming in from the Skywrath and the Jakiro. On top of the Dazzle's heals, that's almost enough to keep everybody alive, aside from those that are getting just hard right-clicked by all these carries. So in this position, Immortality up on Sniper, Mjolnir up on him soon. He really does need to start looking to force the issue, because the double Agadim's ultimate from Silencer might not inhibit him that much, but it certainly will be very painful for his team. I mean, take the Wraith King, for example. Sure, he can turn the damage with Blade Mail and return it back towards the Silencer, but if Silencer's just sitting in the base, that doesn't really matter too much, and well, the end result is that he's going to be completely out of mana by the end of it. He loses almost 400 mana just from the 2 globals, and add in 1 Curse of the Silent, and that's every ounce of his mana pool, and thus no Reincarnate.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that assessment. And now a BKB is up on the Void. Sniper will grab his Mjolnir, but I have to imagine Sniper's next item pickup will be a BKB. Even just the Ravage alone is a pretty big incentive to go for the magic immunity. Is it such a big disable and actually does a fair amount of damage as he starts to level up. There will be a smoke rotation from CNB. They'll move out of the base, and they will start to press forward here, looking for some initiation power. We talked about the Blink Dagger on the Shadow Shaman, so they do have some pretty long-range initiation. And, oh, Bloody Nine, he'll walk right into it. There's the Hex. No, whoa! A Ravage into the Hex to get this started. I'm surprised they ravaged that one. Could have done it a little bit differently, but they do secure the kill, so that is something. Now Fanny in some trouble. He does have the Reincarnation available. Ned will hop forward, hits him with the Anchor Smash. Does have some points in Gush. There you go. That'll slow him down. And Fanny pops his Blade Mail pretty late, but at the very least they'll get a Reincarnate. And maybe they can bring him down for a second time. Dazzle throws out the Weave. He does have a Blink Dagger and will blink to the high ground into the tree line, and that should ensure his survival. Now the Tide presses forward right onto Justin. Hits him with the Anchor Smash, pops the mech. Mystic Flare flies through. Ned taking a lot of damage, but Justin caught inside of the Shackles and the Mass Serpent wards. And the Global Silence comes out. Very quiet on the field, enough to bring down the Jakiro. Now Chobo getting chased down by all the ghosts. May be able to survive for now, but oh boy, CNB grabbing a lot of momentum despite that kind of awkward Ravage.
Yeah, the Ravage was weird, but even the delayed use of Global Silence was enough to really cinch the win in the mid lane. And yeah, every time they have ultimates available, they are the superior team. You can look at DD and say, yes, they scale well, but the bottom line is that if they're fighting with a fraction of their potential because they're inhibited so directly by these disables, by the Global Silences, then it's just going to get worse and worse for them. They really need to either look towards BKBs or maybe Pipe of Insight. Although that does cost them more mana, they just have to have some way to respond to what this Silencer is bringing, because it's subtle, but it's extremely impactful, especially now that the Refresher Orb's online.
Yeah, just delivered via the Courier as DD do smoke up. Both teams drop wards right on the high ground outside of the Roche Pit. And this duo, once again, the Faceless Void and Skywrath Mage, looking for blood, and they may find it. They see Baga in the jungle, Blink Dagger at the ready, but he's on the low ground, has no vision. Oh boy, fast fingers there. Will still take a little bit of damage, and they'll pursue, but now CNB have a lot of reinforcements. Baga looking to TP out. First hit bash from Bloody Nine as RNGesus comes through. Now King RD stuck inside of the Chronosphere. No Mystic Flare, but the mech outside of the Chrono enough to keep him alive. Now the Tide pops forward. Even though the BKB is deployed, Void's still ticking away in terms of minus armor. The Anchor Smash does go through, and he will be repelled. End of the day, it's just a kill on the Shadow Shaman, and now Chronosphere on cooldown for 80.
Yeah, and all their LTs were cooling down that time frame. That's what they needed to do to delay the push long enough to have everything online now. Exorcism, Serpent Wards, Ravage, Global, even the Pipe of Insight comes out for the side of CNB, and their team fight is 3 times stronger than what it was before. Yep. Chobo just has to be very careful how he positions, how he uses his 2 lives, and just to make sure that he's going to be continuously right-clicking, because the buffer zone, the bubble of safety, the Chronosphere, is not available here, and it just makes it almost impossible to break high ground. I mean, maybe a YOLO play from the Wraith King with Blade Mail and Mjolnir active on him, he might be able to just go for the kind of that suicide bomb with the Reincarnate, but beyond that, they really just don't have a team fight that can hold against CNB's full combo.
Yeah, and now 40R also has a heart up on the Death Prophet, so she is just huge. And also level 16, meaning that ultimate is so much more potent. Ned pressing forward, connects with a gush onto Chobo. Will hold the Ravage this time. Curse of the Silent comes out, and this should be Chobo's first life. Basically a wasted Aegis. No follow-up there. He'll come right back up. Fanny initiates onto Baga, but now he's in pretty deep. Silence, Ravage, and Exorcism all deployed. Enough to bring down the Sniper. Now Squee goes down as well. Bloody 9 will survive for now, but he's on the back foot. Fanny, the double silence flies through, or Curse of the Silent, rather. That'll be his reincarnation, and I don't see him surviving a second time here.
Check down bottom.
Yeah, down in the bottom lane, Jakiro doing some damage to the range racks. They took out that tier 3 tower a long time ago, but still doesn't really do enough to consider that worth it, I don't think. Tries the TP home, will get hexed and Yuled, and this chicken will get chopped down. Throws out a Macro Pyre, and this is a pretty tanky Jakiro. I think those Serpent Wards were actually warranted here, as Baga may still fall. Nope, there you go. He gets bottled up by the Death Prophet. Sharing is caring, as they say, Blaze, and CNB will take another very successful team fight.
Yep. Meanwhile, Fanny's able to kind of maneuver with his high HP and his Blink Dagger and get out of the grip of the Tide and the Dazzle, but even still, they just, every time they're dying, they're giving away intelligence to the Silencer, and that buyback. This is a second very questionable buyback this game. I guess they know, I mean, if Roche was like 2 minutes sooner, then I would kind of agree with it for the possibility there, but like they want a high ground without to try to avoid all these ultimates. Is essentially what that buyback means. Yeah. But the Exorcism will be back up in time. The Mass Serpent Wards, maybe, depending on how long they can delay the push with just the weave. And yeah, that's what it comes down to, is they really feel like this is their 30-second interval to take a fight. And if CNB just turtle enough, sack the tier 3 and defend the racks, I think they'll still have their cooldowns up in time.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is questionable at best, and DD are not really in Hail Mary mode quite yet. It's only a 2,500 golden experience lead for CNB. Sure, they've been regaining a lot of momentum, but this just feels like a slightly unnecessary play, considering that third Roche will be coming up potentially soon. They get the ranged racks down bottom, and that's a step in the right direction. Ultimately, though, not too game-breaking, and I don't think that's going to be enough to warrant this buyback out of Justin. CNB biding their time very well. Only 30 seconds till the Ravage is back up. 15, or probably 10 seconds on the first global. That will be a little longer for the refresher, but CNB, they've already made a pretty decent hold here, and it was just a matter of time before those range racks went down. And well, I guess not going to cry over spilled milk at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be... I mean, I guess the holding Jakiro's item progression isn't the end of the world, because he already has his 4-staff, Atos, and Mech. Like, all he'd go for now is an Aghanims, a Veil, or a Sheepstick. And actually might find something here. Baga walking right up the high ground. Yep,
Squee does get picked off, and Baga comes in, throws down the Serpent Wards. Fanny's there, and they will be able to jump on top of the Shadow Shaman. Maybe a miscommunication there from CNB, as Baga just went way too deep, and his teammates just weren't quite ready for it. Jakiro will rendezvous with the rest of the team. Dyer's Courier gets picked off, and it was carrying some pretty serious cargo there. We'll hold that thought, though, as Ravage on 3. The big silence coming out from Silencer. Pops that second Curse of the Silent as well. Jakiro falls. Fanny will go down to proc the reincarnation, and the rest of the team just in big trouble. He will go down for a second time. Sniper is going to hightail it back to the base, and he will be the lone survivor. Oh, man, it's just falling apart for the Dream Destroyers. A triple kill for King RD, and this Silencer is now getting really big. 20 extra stolen int, and now moving into an ultimate orb with about 3,000 gold to spare. Their high ground is in jeopardy here. Void does have a chrono when he comes up in 25 seconds, so maybe they can still make a hold, but this will not be easy.
Yeah, Sniper's a great hero to turtle in, though. He's going to dig in with the Shrapnel, get some long-range right-clicks out, try to keep Blink Daggers on cooldown with his Maelstrom procs. But even still, the sustain push, the heal, they're going to be full HP when the Void respawns, and they just have to make a decision there. Ned taking some hits, Assassinate will not be enough, though, with the Shallow Grave active. He keeps on refreshing it, trying to wait out Shallow Grave by canceling his Assassinate, but in the end, there's just too many heals, and the Tide walks away. Still not getting the tier 3. The ground is defended, but CNB, they're taking so many fights, and the Silencer is just going to be getting huge. Moving in towards a Sheepstick next. The Refresher will make that a twofold effect when he gets it. And really, DD are crumbling as far as their mentality in this game. Like, they still have the late game. They still can go 50, 55 minutes, no problem at all. They're on Dire. They can control Roche pretty well. But when it comes down to it, if they keep on trying to force at these odd timings, buying back when they don't need to, and refusing to go BKBs on a team that I would assume would have picked up 3 by now, it's just really going to be shifting against them.
Yeah, Bloody 9 gets initiated on by Ned as he takes a gush to the face. A pause request from 4DR, and, well, we will be stuck in a pause here as Old Tide has some fairy dust sprinkled about him. That's screenshot worthy right there. It's a sparkly Tide Hunter. But, yeah, whoever wins this upcoming skirmish here will be rewarded pretty heavily as Roche is up in just about 15 seconds. So if CNB take a good fight here, perhaps they can move into the Roche pit. They don't have Ravage, Global.
Yeah, they don't want to fight here.
Available.
Without the Globals, there is no team fight. So.
Yeah, but the first Global coming up in 15 seconds. They can bide their time. I think they will have the cooldowns up in time to contest this Roshan if they can find a way to disengage here.
So, yeah, it's about getting the Tide Hunter out of here. Obviously, the Kraken Shell is a great tool. He just popped the pipe. He has the mech. So, in theory, he can get out. But as soon as they drop the Chrono, if it can hit on 3 people, that's still DD to decide where the fight takes place. The big difference here, though, is that Jakiro can't follow up with a Macropire. You look at Justin's positioning right now. This is their core Jakiro. This is the one that gave safe lane farm, the one that they really want involved in the push and in the fights. And sure, getting a few creeps is nice, but at the end of the day, if they're trying to engage long range, if they find an opening and he's not there, then suddenly this opportunity just dissolves. Like, they'd love to go, but all the same, no Macropire means the Tide lives, and from there, obviously, the Dazzle can do a lot of work with that Shallow Grave.
Yep, that Shallow Grave. I really think the Dazzle is what helped CNB turn the tides in this game. I would coin him almost the VIP, the MVP so far in this game, just based on how many lives he has saved with those clutch Graves. Hopefully DP can deal with these lag issues, though. That would be an unfortunate way for this game to end if DP is stuck with 400 MS.
Yeah, most certainly. But yeah, the Dazzle is one that we don't see very often, and it's very easy to, when you've had 100 games and there's been no Dazzle at all, to look at it and be like, okay, well, I don't really think of him as a contributing hero. But these Shallow Graves have been extremely on point at extremely long range. Even the Blink Dagger now means that he has an absurd amount of range on this Shallow Grave. Can blink in for 2,200 units of Shallow Grave range, and that means that the pickoff potential between Sky and Void is nullified.
Yep, so now here we go, the resume. Ned pops his pipe as he tries to make the retreat. Bloody 9 presses forward, will burn the Chrono for this, and Mystic Flare comes out, but once again, Dazzle's there, showing off his Blink Dagger and Phase Boots, will connect with the Grave, and keeps the Tide alive. Now they'll go in onto the Wraith King. Yules to start things off. They know Fanny does not have a Reincarnate here, and they'll look for an opening to try and take him down. They won't find it, but DD will get repelled, and most importantly, Ned survives and has already been healed back up.
Justin has his TP scroll, but right now he's just going to push out the bottom wave and has to be careful where he goes. Like, they don't have the Chronosphere to buy them Tide on this high ground, and all the ultis are just coming up. Like we said, there was a short time period where they were gone, but now they've got double Hex, they've got double Global Silence, and they do have that Ravage to start things off.
Yeah, but without the Chrono, they'll feel a lot more safe just pressing up to the high ground. They even commit Serpent Wards as the Glyph expires. Exorcism doing a lot of work right here, and DD's caught between kind of a rock and a hard place. This is not an easy defense without a Chronosphere, and sure, they have some chip damage from the Sniper, and Jakiro can do some damage to the Macropire, but with the pipe, a lot of the magic damage they have is just not so scary. They will be happy with the Tier 3 tower, though. Macropire comes out to clear up this creep wave, and CNB will retreat. Maybe they'll scout out the Roche pit, who has respawned. Again, Cheese is online. And CNB just continue to find momentum, and glancing at the graphs, I think they tell the story of this game pretty damn clearly.
Yeah. Interesting aspect of this game is that no Geometry sites have been picked up on either side here, so the map control is just kind of still ward wars between the sentries and observers right now. Squeeze picking up a couple of obs for himself, but no sentries, and we have actually none for CNB, though they still have 2 significant wards on the map for at least a couple more minutes.
Yeah, they did scout out the Roche pit. Ned walked in and pinged it out, so they at least know it's up, but there is no vision control. Again, looking at Radiant Vision, they've got a couple of wards down in the mid lane, but no vision on the Roche pit, and hopefully they'll try to contest this. I think handing over the Cheese to DD is one way they could get right back into this game. Tide Hunter will go forward all by himself here, sees the Skyrat defending him, and even if they don't have vision inside the pit, I think they can infer that Roche is under assault. And the presence of the Tide alone will be enough to repel the forces of DD. They'll sort of posture in an odd position here as CNB do tighten up in the mid. Sniper will pick up his BKB, a huge item for him. And in this next fight, a 10-second BKB charge could go a long way. Now the Maelstrom picked up on the Void as well, who has also hit level 16. And, of course, it lowers the cooldown on that Chronosphere that much more.
Yeah, the BKB pickup is absolutely immense. Now Sniper can actually just stand and deliver. Doesn't have to worry about anything on the side. And Exorcism is being committed here for the Roche alone. The one thing that could bring down the Sniper easily is no longer going to be available. So a little bit of long-range harassment. There's some damage in the pit. But if they can fight without the Exorcism, Aegis won't even matter.
Yeah, Shadow Shaman falls off to the side from the Skywrath Mage. Bloody Nine comes in. Chrono out on 2, but the Tide will just barely escape it. He does have the Ravage available. The Grave, that's what it's called, comes out. Big Ravage to turn it around. There's the big Global Silence. Faceless Void now falls. Justin gets hexed up, and it looks like he may take a tumble shortly after as well. Chrono is not available, and that'll be the end of the Silencer. He'll come back, compliments of that Aegis of the Immortal. Fanny's already been picked off and will come back to life as well. 4DR almost falls, but will be able to make it back until Fanny chops him down once more. King RD stands his ground against Chobo, will bring him down. Justin almost finishes him off, but the Shallow Grave is there again. One stray glaive will bring him down. The heal from Dazzle almost keeps him alive indefinitely. Not enough, but still enough to bring down the Wraith King. And DD will get almost completely wiped up. Once again, the Shadow Priest ignored and helps turn the tides in the fight to give CNB another successful exchange.
Yeah, and that's why this Blink Dagger is so powerful, is he can just be the unseen threat, stay back and weave, which is an insane range in of itself, and then blink in when he actually needs to commit to it. Doesn't need to spam out his Poison Touch on CD just to be relevant to these fights. That was the best fight the DD were going to get without the Exorcism. They fought well and they fought hard, but that Silencer still had 2 lives. And so once the Aegis was gone, using that second Hex as well as a last word, it guarantees that Sniper gets disarmed, and that's just going to be easy cleanup for him. So they try to fight it. They do get the Silencer, but in turn, he just stacks up the intelligence, now up to 26 charges, and surviving through it, as well as forcing BKB charge after BKB charge.
Yeah, that's part of the power of the Silencer. We've been talking about DD throughout this game having the late game, but with skirmishes like that, and as it's sort of evolved into a bit of a bloodbath, that really benefits the Silencer, who all things equal will just start to scale more and more. Those glaives will hurt even more as that intelligence gets converted to pure damage, and DD just don't have a lot to deal with it aside from the BKBs. Voids is already down to 6 seconds, and the Snipers now down to 9. He used that first charge in the last skirmish there. But one of those items that, of course, gets a little bit less effective over time, even though it is still a key component in their arsenal. I'm not sure how I feel about DD just going for mass Mjolnirs, though. They've already got one up on the Sniper. Fanny working on his and just a recipe away, and the Void has a Maelstrom. And I feel like that's an item that sort of has diminishing returns to some degree, especially once the other team picks up a pipe.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That's kind of the point that I was leaning towards as well. Like, the fact that they already have that Pipe of Insight up, they have a lot of self-buffs, so it's hard to focus the target with auto-attacks, but all the same, it's just, it's not that amazing. Oh, nice silence onto Ned.
Yeah, now Bloody Nine comes in, Chrono on 2. Ned will get dropped before he can pop the Ravage. Now Silencer will almost go down. Dazzle there with the Grave once more, but he's standing on the Macro Pyre. Gets healed up by the Dazzle, still falls to the Skywrath Mage. And he will be the second to go down. Double buyback here as the Ravage connects on 4. Secures the kill onto the Sniper as well as the Skywrath. Now the rest of DD in full retreat. Ice Pass flies out, but it's completely dodged by CNB. And they will jump onto Bloody Nine as he gets hexed and silenced, and the Ghost will lay into him. And it looks like Jakiro off to the side here will get isolated and picked off as King RD lays in the right click. So it looks like a good initiation for DD. They forced out 2 buybacks, but now they get completely cleaned up, and they have no buybacks of their own available. And this is where things get a little bit sticky for the Dire side. There's a good 40 seconds of a 5v1 on the field where CNB can go pretty hard on the base, and there is also still a piece of cheese standing on the Radiant side.
Yeah, still though, the creep waves weren't really that all pushed out towards the enemy base, so they're not going to lose their racks immediately. The Exorcism and Servant Wards are down, but in the end, it's still going to be falling, and this is where they just need to kind of hope that CNB stays a little bit too long and they can get some turnaround kills, because without forcing more and more buybacks, there's still 3 up on the side of CNB. It's just, it's going to be a difficult road to come back from.
Yeah, mid lane of Brax will fall. They'll rotate up top. The first round of respawns are on the way, but it's still just the Sniper and the Skywrath there. Jesus. Void will be coming up in just a few seconds, has a Chronosphere at the ready, and that's the big ability they need to try and repel this. Rax will take a fair bit of damage. Pipe gets popped as Fanny hops in, and 4DR will be off to the side, throwing the Crypt Swarms. There's Bloody 9. Chrono on the backside will isolate the Silencer. Mystic Flare flies through, and that's a dead Silencer. Now Ned in the front line. No Ravage for him. Will pop his mech, but he's all by his lonesome, and he will fall. It's a 2-0. Now CNB make the retreat. The stun from the Wraith King does get juked. Compliments of that Blink Dagger. 4DR in some trouble, though. He'll get slowed twice up, and now he's going to go down. He will get a shallow grave, but maybe enough to stay alive. Well, buys him some time. What a Yules. As the sniper throws the ultimate, but it doesn't matter. It's a full 5-man wipe the other way. And now the same issues that DD were up against a few moments ago, CNB will suffer from themselves. As their buybacks are limited, just the Death Prophet and the Shadow Shaman, well, and the Shadow Priest as well. So they have 3 of the 5, but the 2 big ones, the Silencer as well as the Tide, will be stuck in the grave for the next 60 seconds.
Yeah, and that's exactly what DD wanted to happen, them to kind of get greedy, try to go for the top lane when they had no place going for it, and they do at least force 1, maybe 2 or 3 buybacks, so that would be huge. The Shallow Grave was extremely slow from the Dazzle, didn't get the Silencer, and if Silencer lives through that Chrono, he's got Cheese, Sheepstick, and he can even refresh for the ultimate as well as another Sheepstick, so that Shallow Grave, we've talked great about the Dazzle to this point, but in that case, just a moment's hesitation cost them dearly in that team fight. Now the bottom rack's certainly gone, and I think DD actually can try to force the mid.
Yeah, and looking at the cooldown disparity, DD do have the advantage right now, but CNB are quickly coming up. Tide does have the Ravage. The double silence will be up in about 20 seconds, and Exorcism is now here as well. DP coming around the backside. Shiva's online. Will go straight in. He'll pop the Yules, but he's in a little trouble here. They'll find the kill on Shadow Shaman. He manages to get the wards down. The Shallow Grave comes out onto 4DR, but now the Dazzle will be isolated off to the side. They should have enough to bring him down. 4DR will fall in just a few more right clicks, but 7 hit points. Oh my gosh. He is still alive. There's the global, and DD now will get completely cleaned up. It's just the sniper. And, he lives with 120 hit points, but it's a team wipe the other way. Wraith King will come right back up, and now he gets picked off. I can't believe that DP survived. That was the make it or break it. If they had brought her down, I think that would have been a completely different fight.
5 HP on that Death Prophet, and now full from her Exorcism. Just absolutely absurd. Every item you look at for her, even the casual chainmail, paid off.
Oh, God. Almost walked into the DP there. A Crypt Swarm would have been enough to bring him down, but he will about face in the nick of time. So we're right back to an even game here, Blaze. It's been sort of a game of throws on both sides of the coin. DP headed up to the mid lane. I don't know what her plan is, though. The mid lane of Rax have already gone down, just pushing out this lane that's already been pushed. And the rest of the team will push out the bottom, and we'll see old Tide Hunter here chipping away at the top. He'll be picking up a Shivas of his own.
Yeah, that defense, it actually looked like DD should have been able to take out barracks there, but 4DR's movement was so aggressive and so active. He actually came in from a flank outside his own base, pops the Shivas, and just forces him to be something that they have to deal with. With the Master Rewards and Exorcism down, they buy time for Ravage, which buys time for Global, and that turnaround, it was gradual, but they absolutely just repelled them without losing anything. So this is kind of what happened on the bottom lane a couple of times, but now it's even more difficult losses for DD. Down to 7 seconds on the BKB of Chobo. They need this Roche. It just spawned, luckily for Justin.
Oh, wow. That is good news for... Well, actually, I'm not sure who this is good news for. The cooldowns for CNB are still coming up here. They will have the Refresher in 50. First global up in about 20 seconds.
Tied second base, though, so...
Yep. Ravage is up in 30. It looks like this will be pretty much uncontested for DD. Does get scouted out by Baga, but this will be a cheese. Now going the way of the Dire side. Silencer still holding on to his cheese that he picked up before, but maybe this will be enough for DD to regain that lost footing. Weave does scout it out. CNB posturing like they want to make a hold here, and they will take a fight, but Roche has already gone down. Sniper's the one to pick up the Aegis. Fanny takes some damage to start things off. There's your first global, but the Chrono comes out. Mystic Flare out onto Ned. King RD takes a grave, and they'll just switch it over to the Tide. Both Shivas get popped. King RD pops his cheese. Now there's your Ravage. Fanny pretty low. They proc the Aegis, and the second lives are coming back up. It's now a true 5v5 as 4DR takes a stun from the Wraith King there. Ned coming back in, but will path block the Death Prophet a little bit. and she will fall. Justin taking some right clicks from the Dazzle on the high ground, but there's Bloody Nine, comes in with a bash. Dazzle will grave himself. Chobo gets hexed. King RD takes him down. Squee presses forward. King RD stands his ground. He may be able to live. Bloody Nine falls, and King RD lives with 150 hit points to spare. Triple buyback from the Dire side. They are hungry for vengeance, and they'll get right back in it. They know the cooldowns are down, and they'll say that this is the time.
Now these are buybacks. These are buybacks worth going out for. They know they need to ult in. They need to avoid all these major ultis, and this is their timing window. Now the only cooldown up for them is Hex, but Fanny, what? Oh, I didn't expect them there. Just completely caught out. No reincarnate. You think like 60 seconds is nothing, but it's just plenty enough.
Even Justin, now he's going in by himself. The Void will hop over the tree line. That'll keep Justin alive for now. Chobo on his way in. Bloody Nine taking a lot of right clicks from King RD. The ice path flies through. That'll isolate him. Now he falls as the sniper clicks him down. Ned looking for something else, but he won't find it. He's also, left all alone, completely isolated. A return kill on Bloody Nine could be a possibility, but no, the ice path is there, and Bloody Nine will survive.
Up top, we're going to see defensive Squee. Ultimate comes out. Was there even a hero there a moment ago? Because
I don't think so. There's just a lot of creeps here.
Yeah, but you can't ulti creeps. So don't know about that. But no matter the case, yeah, they just they have to push in all in. This is their last chance to make their stand. Their graphs have been erratic. The game has been back and forth.
Cardi ×2 here doing some serious work to these melee racks. Squee does come in, but Cardi, they don't care. They'll stay on the structures. Is this going to be a dead set of melee racks? He's trying to click him down. It's a race against the clock. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they're chipping away at these this mid lane of racks, but no, the melees fall. He can't kill Cardi and his friend fast enough. Now in the mid lane, Bloody Nine, he gets hexed up. 4DR comes in. There's the exorcism, and he'll press forward. Little Piggy gets deployed onto the Void. That's enough for a kill. And now Justin, he'll get isolated as well. He moves into the tree line, but they commit Rasta wards for this. He gets clicked down by the silencer. Yule's used onto Chobo. He'll get isolated, pops his BKB, and DD. They'll tap out. They know Chobo's going to fall. And that's it. The hero siege engines. Oh my gosh. What a way for that game to end, Blaze. I don't even...
Seriously.
What a game that was. Talk about a back and forth matchup. CNB take it. 48-39 in 51 minutes, and I hesitate to say, take it by a hair.
Yeah, I mean, it was close, but all the same, when it comes down to it, the ultimates were too powerful. Whenever CNB had them, DD didn't stand a chance. The Chronospheres were decent there, but Dazzle, for the most part, was able to nullify their effect, and they were still able to get everything off that they desired. It really goes all the way back to, even though it's a 51-minute game, goes back to the 5.5-minute Midas that Silencer was able to pick up due to Shadow Shaman's great zoning on the Faceless Void, and turning that into Agadim's Refresher Scythe. That's the ultimate combo for King RD. Was able to do so much work in those team fights, really carried it on his back, and 4DR was also able to make some great plays happen with his item set. So really, when it came down to it, a carry is a great idea, but in practice, they didn't have the potential to deal with the team fight. That game is all about taking the Ancient, and you need a lot of lives behind that to make that happen. So CNB, they throw more buybacks at it, they get more team fights, they get more kills, and the end result is a very effective win for them. CNB, take it away.
Yep, I have a little more to add to that, Blaze. What a game. We've got plenty more Dota coming your way, though, for Day 5 of Starladder Season 10 America. I'm Zyori, joined remotely by Blaze, at Zyori TV, and at BlazeCasting on Twitter. If you want to give us some love and give us a follow after that game. Holy Toledo. We've got EG versus UG coming up next. The Evil Geniuses will face off against Union, and that is scheduled to start 10 minutes ago. So we'll take a short break here, guys, and hop right into it. Stick around, because plenty more Dota is coming your way.